Well, Michaela, welcome to Change and Triumph. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for invitation and for your kind words.
Awesome, awesome. So I am so excited about what you're doing and everything that you are just about. And I want to share with my audience because this is all about change and triumph. And you are relaunching your own podcast. Where your podcast is to share your mission on healing emotional eating and balancing mindset and nutrition. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
It-
So tell me, what's the biggest misconception you've had to overcome in framing that dual approach? And how did it refocus your work?
So there are many ways and many different layers of misconceptions on physical, emotional, mindset layer or awareness, and everyone is approaching the main issue of emotional eating from different perspective. And the main message that I would like to share is that we cannot actually separate how we feel from how we eat because our emotions shape our food choices. And on the other hand, also our food choices shape our emotions and how we feel. So if we take, for example, stress, this is very common. Every one of us sometimes maybe feels a little bit stressed, maybe more, maybe less, but this is intense reaction of our body, but our body is seeking quick balance and fast. And if we are not aware of that, then the easiest, fast, quick solution would be some food choice, which is natural biochemical reaction of our body because of elevated cortisol and dopamine, which makes us basically crave the quickest hit of relief. We crave sugar, caffeine, snack, or something fast. But also this is very temporary, right? After that, we find like quick relief, but then we anyways feel irritated, brain fog, emotional, we are more reactive. And I also would like to mention that opposite is true as well. So if we in that reaction, if then situation are a little bit more mindful and maybe a little bit more prepared for these situations, then we can be more emotionally stable and we have enough of complex carbohydrates, protein, fiber, micronutrients, healthy fats, then we can gain more steady energy levels for our brain to calm down. And then our emotions can follow. And basically, stable blood sugar could mean also a little bit more stable mood. So then the situations that might initially feel like super intense can be handled in a little bit more balanced and stable way, lighter way. So I think that is like two-way street that we are often not aware of. And we think that if we have like some emotional issues, we have to go to therapy or maybe even to coach. And if we have body symptoms, then we have to go to doctor or we have to go to nutritionist if we want to lose weight or gain weight. And we are often not really aware of how these two words, physical, emotional, mindset, are interconnected and interlooped, which is natural if we don't have education, if we are not curious enough, and if we basically don't know what question to ask.
Wow, wow. What would you say the biggest mistake what's the most unpopular opinion? I mean, what's the biggest mistake that you made when you came to healing your relationship with food?
So, I mean, this is so beautiful question, and I think it has also many layers because healing relationship with food for me was healing relationship with myself, which is nothing that would happen instantly with one single point in my life. And it came through different layers, through different situations. But maybe like good example would be that there were many things that I was totally not aware of that I have in my hands and in my control. What changed for me was during travels, meeting new cultures, meeting new peoples, and seeing how things can be differently. So stepping out of what is normal for me. that was like big influence on my life and still is. And this is also what I see in people, that they often tell me, they live in kind of normality box and they think this is normal. And unless they have very honest friend and very honest guide, that they usually don't know that they do something that is not benefiting them. And this is, I think, very natural. We don't do things wrong because of we want to do things wrong. Everyone want to do the best things that we can. So I think that for me, this traveling and meeting new people, being more open, opens the place of not knowing the things and opening the curiosity to get to know more. And that is the biggest change and mindset shifts and basically space where the change can happen. And when I visited nutritionists, initially I did the same thing that many clients do. So starting with the self-image, with wanting improve something physically. And I was not aware of deeper layers that are beyond this, like why I want this, what lies behind it. And also when I was stepping in the office of nutritionists, and there was like one very important question that the nutritionist asked me: what could block me from fulfilling my health goals? For me, it was constantly intense answer my emotions. And that was the point when I started to ask on deeper layers, what does it mean? What lies behind those emotions? And I think many people are a little bit afraid of asking those deeper questions, because what I notice, there is lack of self-confidence and lack of inner certainty that if they would ask this question, they would have the answer. And that is the place where I would love to support people, to give them this confidence and give them guidance, so together we can find the solution for having maybe answer immediately for this question. For example, what I notice in my clients is that in most situations beyond the goal, for example, lose weight, gain weight, change something on the physical level, is relationship, either relationship with themselves or relationship with other people that they would like to improve or get into relationships, find new relationship.
So you stress that the mindset and nutrition mutually work hand in hand. Otherwise, knowledge alone fails. So, with that said, what's the one key insight about combining emotional work with nutritional guidance that people always overlook?
There are so many. I think very common is missing how their way of thinking is influencing the food choices. Like practical example, like I have to exercise a lot if I want to lose weight. If I lose weight, I will find finally perfect partner. If I lose weight, I will be good enough. If I have six pack, I will be better. Or like many different mindset patterns, beliefs that we have in us, in ourselves, and these are dumping our hormonal balance, not only from the food choices that we make, but also from the emotions that is connected to that. So I think it's important not only to visit nutritionists and not only to set physical goal, but also dig a little bit deeper and have a look, okay, why I'm asking this question, why I ask someone what I can eat or cannot eat. Why I need to know if I can take croissant for breakfast, and maybe ask why I want to have croissant. Why is it important for me? How I want to live? What lifestyle I want to have? What kind of nourishment I need in order to have this lifestyle, what kind of relationships I want to have in my life. And I think this changes a lot how we think about nutritionist, about nutrition, because then we don't see only the goal of losing weight in order to achieve, but
Yeah.
then we are thinking more reach the health goals that will support the way how I want to live. And I think this is the biggest change in way how we think. And in that moment, we can see the full potential that nutrition can offer us. And we can see, okay, maybe now I have to maybe push myself a little bit more in my work or I have stress situations so I can get ready, prepared, and support myself better with the proper nourishment, which doesn't have to be only physical, but it can be also taking bath, also taking good quality talk with my best friend, or going for a walk even for 10 minutes, sunbathing, and so on.
That's phenomenal. Mindset is so, so important to everything. I mean, I started my day with water. A
Yeah,
lot of people start with coffee.
yeah,
I learned this from someone about 10 years ago. And every time I switch it up, I can feel the difference. So
absolutely.
the first thing is water. The second thing is gratefulness and just feeling abundance and gratefulness. The third thing I do is earthing and getting a walk, getting into the grass, getting my feet into the grass. And I need all of those things. I literally want to tell you that I need them in order to get my mindset right, in order to have an amazing day. And by the time I get to 9 a.m., everyone is wondering, "How come I'm so bright and shiny and ready?
Mm.
Like, how come I've been going for, all day?" And then, "No, this is the morning.
I
By
have
10
my
I'll be crashing and having to do a re-jump again." But,
Yeah, I'm thinking about this. Like many people from my surrounding are thinking slowing they cannot slow down because then they would not finish their goals. But slowing down in how I personally perceive it doesn't mean to stop doing the work or not
right,
having like to work done,
right,
but it means maybe a little bit more mindfulness and being aware, okay, if I want to reach that goal, what would be the most effective way how to reach that goal, what is necessary thing to do, and what is actually the ballast around it that is not necessary and that I can either delegate or I don't have to do because it's not supporting me anyways. So slowing down doesn't mean that you are not doing the work that we all know that if we want to achieve some goal, we have to put the effort. It's there. But the quality of how we do it can be very, very
absolutely. The hustle is different. I'm from
yeah,
New York City, so I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean. That when you're younger in your 20s, there's a hustle that includes anxiety. And when you're a little bit more seasoned, the hustle is still happening, but you're not trying to crunch 18 hours of a day into 8 hours. And you are, like you said, basically learning how to mitigate all of that time to multiple layers of people that are
mm,
still
mm,
handling all of that. And you're kind of like a maestro. You turn into a maestro at making sure all of the things get done that you thought you had to do when you were younger. Now, while you primarily support women in their and these like moi that are 40 women in their 40s and 50s, men struggling with binge eating also do reach out to you as well, though, correct?
absolutely. I mean, initially, my dream was to work with women because from my childhood, I experienced not very nice situations from women's side of people. And I had to deal with that. And over time, I learned that all of these women, it wasn't that they would be bullies from their born or they would be wrong people, but I learned that they were very hurt and the way how they reacted was actually from the place of fear, from the place of hurt and negative emotions. And my dream was to change this so every woman can feel support and every woman can be self-confident in order to support other people and realize her real strength. And it doesn't mean that the man doesn't need support as well. In fact, actually, 1 in 5 men can struggle with eating disorders according to statistics, which is high number. And the thing is that the way how they struggle is a little bit different. While as a woman, we maybe chase a little bit more, flat belly, being slim. In men, it manifests a bit different, connected more with masculine traits. And there is a lot of shame on both sides. There's a lot of feelings of loneliness and isolations. We struggle internally. Once in a time, somebody is telling, "Oh, you're, for example, in men, you are so thin. You should toughen up." And these kind of like words that on the surface level are maybe not meant that deep, but can hit you very deeply and
Right.
can really cause actually eating disorders.
Mm,
So my motivation behind to support women was from my personal experience, and I see effect on what does it make, what how the woman can sparkle from one moment to another just during few seconds when you say something nice to her, when you just say, "Oh, you shine today. What's changing?" And she brightens up, and every all the talk and discussion is changing. But it doesn't mean that man doesn't need support. Like everyone can struggle, but the approach and the reasoning can be a little bit different.
right. Right. Well, I mean, it's just amazing how the mind, body, soul all works together, no matter what your goals are. And my background is real estate, and I found something really interesting about you that you've guided people, your clients, from suicidal ideation all the way to home ownership by tackling root causes, not just symptoms. So, which client transformation do you find yourself reluctant to share, yet it's become your most powerful example of possibility?
So for me, this is a very sensitive field. We were talking about this before because I don't take lightly every story that my clients share with me, and it's very personal. And we can now talk about it, but it's their life and they live it and they were through the journey step by step. So I really appreciate the trust that they give me and don't want to
Fair,
break. At
fair.
this I feel that I know we need to feel hope, and we need to know that even if we are in situations that feels terrible and that are very very horrible in our life, there is always hope how to get on the other side. So even from the moment when you feel there is no way to go, I myself experienced and saw people who dealt with drug issues, who dealt with really deep depressions. And it doesn't mean that they visited me and everything changes within one session, but only the fact that they were so brave to open the questions, to open themselves to get the right question and get a little bit deeper doesn't mean we have to dig in whole childhood and go into deep psychology and therapy and these things, but only to opening this and bring it to our awareness can start new change, deep change. People start to be more aware, and sometimes we need to work also with other professionals, but if they really want something to change, they will manage always. And they don't have to go through it alone. So no matter how terrible the situation is, there is only limited amount of problems that we experience, but unlimited solutions that we can find when we find a safe place and when we find specialists that can support us from many different layers, physically, emotionally, and support our mindset. So I don't want to tell that you can visit me and everything will be perfect within 1 hour. We will solve everything. I cannot guarantee that, but I can guarantee that you will not end up alone and we will find solutions. And if needed, we will find also other professionals that can support your healing journey. But maybe this one session can be the first one that can support you to get on the right path again. So I think that's how I would share the journey of my clients.
That's fascinating and so highly respected that you can't share a specific story, but you can share a general story that really is applicable to everyone. And our listeners crave concrete tactics that they can implement immediately to begin shifting their habits. So, after today's conversation, what are the three things you want people to do right now to start healing their emotional eating?
I would start noticing instead of controlling the emotions and controlling the habits that we have. So start to notice that this is repetition, this is repeating emotion, and ask yourself, what is it that I don't want to accept now? What is it that I need to escape? What is it that I want? How would my life look like if I knew that I'm totally supported? So creating that awareness point is the first step to move forward and be curious to go in a little bit in more deeper layers. Be curious in a new set of questions because the way how we ask is the very important for getting the good quality answers. Maybe ask yourself different questions. Be curious. Be open to new ways of seeing the things. Am I really hungry or am I seeking something? Am I seeking relief from some situation? What do I feel? How do I feel? Do I feel that this situation is out of my control? Do I feel like terrible about myself? Do I feel not good enough? And what would I like to have? Is it really weight loss or am I seeking of like good quality relationship? Because then your approach will be also different. And nourish before restrict. Like less food doesn't mean you will be more healthy. Losing weight doesn't mean that you will be more healthy. So think about nourishment in the first place. That is, I think, the key message that when seeing social media, when seeing what people ask me, that would be like the first place to start. Like see food as an opportunity to get life of better quality.
Yes. That that makes plenty of sense because we all know that quick fix diets and self-help mantras often lead to yo-yo patterns and frustration. And these yo-yo patterns and frustration are typically, it's funny because you could see a skinny person eat all kinds of junk and still be fine. And you can see a heavier person that may be considered overweight starve themselves and their body reacts to retain the weight because the brain is kind of such a thing that you have to hack, which I love how you actually talk about the mindset because it's really just all about that. So, which common shortcut should people stop chasing if they truly want lasting freedom with food? And what should they focus on instead?
I would maybe start what you just said because it leads to this way of thinking. If I look like that person on Instagram, then I would have better life like that person on Instagram. But we have no idea what that person on Instagram is eating a day. We have no idea what lifestyle they have. We have no idea what quality of relationships that person have. So first in
Or
bit of
their genetics, or their actual genetics, because genetics has a lot to do with it as well.
there is genetic part, but actually we can influence much more than we think. That's
Mm,
one thing. But also, if you want to look like specific person, it doesn't mean that you will be healthier or happier.
right.
So just find your own personal goals and think, be really honest with yourself. Like, do I want to lose weight because of health or I want to just feel better in myself, which is fair enough? Or is it because I want to find relationship? So that would be the first thing. Also, if you see a very beautiful looking woman, it doesn't mean that she's happy. You have no idea what's happening in her life. I met many women who struggle because people are like having a lot of envy and jealousy, but inside they were really struggling with relationships and they were not happy because they were only chasing some kind of ideal body in their mind, and it doesn't mean always healthy. Immediately when you lose your period, then something goes wrong in my perspective, how I understand and
Yes,
how
yes.
what I truly believe. So that is one thing. Also, I think that there is a huge misconception that people think that in order to get the perfect body in their mind, they have to not eat, to stop eat any carbs, which is
Mm,
totally bad because we need complex carbohydrates in order to get the cognitive function, in order to get energy. And even athletes who are very muscly and are like very basically all day long in sports, they need much more complex carbohydrates than a so-called normal person.
It's always confused me as a person that yo-yo diets myself. Why
Mm.
is it that the race, there'll be a marathon or there'll be a track race and they have a pasta fest. They'll have spaghetti and all kinds of wonderful things like that. And it's like, oh my God, they have all of these carbs just before their race, but that's because they are able to burn it off. They need those complex carbohydrates in order to burn them off. So you have to have them with the right exercise.
It's the thing that basically people think that if they don't have carbs, then they will be leaner or have better figure and so on. But your body needs it and you will crave it. And then when the body is getting like sugar, chocolate and fast food and unhealthy fat, then it stores much faster. And then it's where the fat is building, the hormones are dumped, and it's a whole way wrong. Other side of this is that all extreme diets, you are missing something. You always have to have like proteins, flex carbs,
Right.
fat, fiber, micronutrients, and micronutrients is also one thing that people are forgetting. You can get keto diet, you can lose weight and feel initially very good, but over time your liver basically look like a liver from alcoholic person, are lacking a lot of micronutrients, so you might over time long term see that your hair are falling and
Oh,
you feel fatigued, and then you are maybe not connecting the dots and you have no idea where this thing is happening because the body remembers, and all the history with dieting is multiplying and has some effect in the end. So I would say think really long term and don't think really only calories, but think about nourishment. Think in more complex way. And if you are not sure, it's always better to have maybe even one consultation just to check up maybe once a year to see how is it going, what lifestyle you want to have, and how you can support yourself with this. My lifestyle and my nutrition needs would be totally different than from athlete or
of
uh,
course.
from a person who is sitting in the office and only
Right.
using something in the computer, which is also very demanding, and our brain still needs complex carbs.
Yes.
So,
I find when I did the no carb diet, I
mm,
definitely have brain fog much faster.
yeah,
And what I love about what you're saying is that you're speaking from a reference of the many people that have come to you with failed diets. And so let's talk about our age group. I'm sorry, I don't know your age group, but I know my age group.
close enough.
Let's talk about someone over 40 that decides to transform their mindset about food. What's the mistake you'd warn them not to repeat?
I would say the first thing, things that were working maybe in 20s and 30s doesn't have to work and usually are not working. So our body is evolving. We are going through hormonal changes. We are going through changes physiologically. The body gets, especially 40 plus and more old, we are more sensitive to glucose. Perimenopause is going, so there are lower levels of estrogens and progesterone, which lowers the metabolism, and that's connected with storing more belly fat, which is very sensitive for women. Also, we have higher sensitivity, less sensitivity for insulin, so we have more sugar cravings, which is only adding to this. Then there is less sensitivity for dehydration, like you stated in the beginning that you start your day with water, which is perfect because we are much more sensitive to dehydration, and then is also very much connected with cognitive function and with our focus and energy levels. So all of that combining gets to many emotions, and also we want to still be on top of our level. We still want to perform and maybe be in competitive field with the, if I can call, younger people who have the drive and totally different energy, but we also want like something different. We have our families to handle. Like there are so many things to deal with. especially this age is very sensitive for emotional eating, binge eating. So the thing that you can do is to really focus on good quality nourishment, omega 3s, enough of fiber, micronutrients, vitamin D, calcium, zinc and selenium for immunity, vitamin B complex. And also during this age, we are much more sensitive to, due to these changes, the microbiome is also changing, and
Oh,
microbiome is influencing our mood, is influencing our cravings as well. So it would be good idea to think about probiotics. Not everything we have to supplement. We can have kefir, we can have yogurt with probiotics, we can have cabbage, kimchi, and lot of options,
yeah.
which is very good to add. And like we mentioned, like add more of water and never neglect the emotional side. What I notice is also due to these changes, we maybe share it with our husband, with our close people around us, which don't understand fully. And then we feel very alone because out of awareness of other people, our true hormonal changes can be neglected and can be taken like, it's normal, it's just your time now, you will get better.
I
It
You'll get
doesn't mean
over
that
it.
it's not here, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it's not happening. And that creates like a huge bubble of, okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's something wrong with my body and I don't know what to do. I think, especially during this moment, you should be not diminishing your own feelings and
Yeah.
be open to explore this.
Yes, yes. Wow. There's so much in what you talked about with the microbiome and kimchi, yogurt, all of those different things. Could you So many people, I think all of us over 40 should know what microbiome is, but could you just for our audience, it is a complicated word. I know what you mean, and I understood fully everything about the microbiome. Could you elaborate on it a little bit?
This is a very interesting topic. I am still learning about it. It's
Yeah,
not only bacteria that are in our gut, it's also other microorganisms that are living there. And we can have so called like good bacteria and bad bacteria. And the way we eat is shaping the way what basically grows inside us. So
right.
we are basically feeding the bacteria, and not only bacteria, but all the microorganisms inside of us. And the gut are connected with our brain through nervous system, through nerves. And it is like both sides signaling. So if we basically feed so-called wrong bacteria, then we get different signals to our brain than the other bacteria. And that's how
Mm.
it influences our mood. And it is also the one of the reason why there was like amazing research when people with clinical depression who needs antidepressants are also supported to eat probiotics with antidepressants in order to support good signaling and better stable mood and better emotional stability. It is very, very important. So always fiber is important to support the good growth of bacteria, because if the bacteria have nothing to feed on, then you have nothing. So if you get probiotics, but you don't change your diet, you get maybe these bacteria only initially, but then they die because they have nothing to eat on. Um, and it's also interesting that it's influenced during already childbirth. So when we get during our childbirth, when the childbirth is natural, we have different microbiome than when the childbirth is not natural with the help of doctors. So this
Interesting.
is also very interesting.
Very
And
interesting.
basically, there is still a lot of research about like what actually good microbiome is, because we don't know what should be the optimal thing. We
My
only
goodness.
know that people with these conditions have this microbiome, and people with maybe depressions or some diseases have different microbiomes. But we don't know what is ideal microbiome basically.
Yes,
So
I've seen different fruits, vegetables, and vitamins, and so much research on the different bacteria. Like, oh, well, take this. I was scared at a point. I heard both arguments against probiotics. And one argument, I have a friend that is a doctor that says, "Oh, never, never, never." She is a medical doctor, and she goes, she would never have used probiotics ever because of the probiotics that another doctor gave her mother while she had cancer actually increased her chances of death, which is like the worst that you could think of. And then I've heard doctors say, because it's exactly what you just said, we don't really know. However, we do find that if you have this set of bacteria, then it is helpful towards these ailments. And so there's a lot of scientific evidence that's happening right now. And also in different villages that are still like native villages. I've seen some research. Okay, well, these people here never ever get cancer or heart disease or blah, blah, blah because of the bacteria that is actually in
Mm.
their microbiome, which is so interesting. So there's a lot more studying to do. I have now succumbed to agreeing with the people that do say we need healthy bacteria because I don't take probiotics because of my probiotic vitamins, that literally say probiotics. However, I do kimchi and I do fruits and vegetables that are supposed to have the right probiotics. I still feel funny about the yogurt, even though that is like a known thing because yogurts have so much bacteria in it, and some yogurts go, "Hey, we've got billions of bacteria." Take this one. It sounds so crazy to me. I just can't do it. It's definitely something to weigh. That brings me to many people like myself believe that they can just replace real coaches. Some try to coach themselves with AI or one size fits all programs and burnout. What's the dark side of
Mm.
self-reliance in emotional eating recovery, and how do you guide clients to build true support instead?
First, I just would like to mention, like, maybe it's also good to say that supplement is not solution for everything. And if you
Yeah.
have like a good quality diet with all aspects like covered, supplement is only supplementing what you are not able to take with diet. That is like the first reason why we have supplements, but they should not be like, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, and I'm not thinking about the food at all, but I'm supplementing everything. That's not the reason why supplements are here, even though the market is like really exploding. But that
Mhm.
is one thing that is maybe good to say also with probiotics. Like, again, if we can get it from food, we should follow this in the first place, and then maybe think about specific occasion and ask yourself why you actually want probiotics, what it should solve, what kind of issues it should solve,
Yeah.
and then think about, okay, can I solve it with diet, can I solve it with lifestyle, or only with probiotics? And sometimes also consultation with doctor can be very important to do, not only with coach or nutritionist, and that's why we have like so many collaborations. And yeah,
Yes.
and then you were asking about the self-help tools,
Self-coaching with
AI. I actually really like AI. I use
mm,
it myself. And
awesome.
on the other hand, um, I myself would not replace my coach with AI because uh, first the protection of data, and I'm not sure where what I share with AI is going. I'm not very confident about these aspects, and the coach or doctor or therapist or any professional should have at least some ethical standards to follow, and
Right.
you should feel safe with that person. That is the first thing.
Right.
The second thing is, if I go to AI, I have only my way of thinking, and my way of questioning, and the answer I get are only as good as questions that I give. And if I would like to change something, I need a different set of questions that I'm not asking myself.
Right.
I think AI has amazing potential. We can get so many informations, but we had that even before AI. We still had the good books. We still had like good research going on. And
Yeah.
still we needed someone who will help us because we were not able to implement that.
True.
So that is also one thing. Another thing from my own experience is that sometimes I just need someone who hold the space so I can experience some kind of emotional change inside of myself. And this is something that no chatbot can give you. I don't know how is it for you personally, but for
Yeah.
me, it was like many times that I just was like with some person, with some coach, and just the correct question led me to open up something. I could focus, and the person could really hold the space and give me the opportunity to experience some kind of emotions that help me to move on through some situations or figure out new solutions. And that emotion is important in order to apply that knowledge into the real life.
Yes.
So the same way as in the school, like, yeah, you can get book, you can study at home, but it's different. It's different than if there is
When you
someone.
get it. Yeah.
So I believe that no AI will replace this human touch, this level of support that we can get one on one. That's my opinion. I don't know how is it for you.
Yes.
What's
No.
your experience?
My experience with AI is I can finally get the answers I want.
Mhm.
However, I do know that without the it's something you said a minute ago, which was, I hope that someone has ethical standards. The thing about the ethical standards is that some things, there are certain paid entities that are backing certain pharmaceutical companies and hospitals and organizations, whereas they will not speak on certain things or direct you to certain things because it doesn't profit them.
Yeah.
And so those ethical standards are not as ethical as we would like them to be. When I now know that I can, for instance, upload because a perfect example, I have a very close family member that I'm having a lot of trouble with. And like you, I can't tell the exact story, or everyone who knows me will say, "Why did you say that publicly?" And we know who you're talking about. But to keep it simple, I've been able to upload medical information and ask the system on ChatGPT and ask the system, what are all of the alternative ways to deal with this problem? Give me all the herbal ways to deal with this problem. List them. Okay. Even if we're going with the pharmaceuticals, now I said, okay, give me all the pharmaceuticals that and all of the side effects of each pharmaceutical for this specific ailment. And I've been able to get so much more information because, as you know, with certain organizations, if they're not supporting that particular pharmaceutical or method of healing, then they won't talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, I lost a friend to cancer,
Mm.
and we
I'm
were at
sorry.
a hospital. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And it was just his time.
Yeah.
Now, we were at a hospital that did all the things that they do, and down the street, there was another hospital that, which was NYU, okay, NYU Langone, that had the new sound vibration therapy that healed those specific issues. However, St. Luke's down the street doesn't do that. And they didn't even recommend it, didn't think about it, didn't say we're going to transfer you. So the answer is, I find it to be extremely helpful because even if you say, okay, as a coach, you still need a coach because the challenge is what you said. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And the human, so you won't know what to ask. You just don't know what you don't know. The way I use it and the way I come stack on top, and my learning style may not be your learning style. And if a doctor uses that same tool, they have so much pre-knowledge, or you were to use that same tool, you have so much pre-knowledge that your questions are going to get different answers. And, so it's a tool that is we're blessed with. That's all I could
Yeah.
tell you. I'm grateful for the tool because I'm able to speak to a coach like yourself, and then I could go and upload, say, my medical information if I wanted to, which there's a privacy issue with that, but you choose what you want to do. And then compare what you said and compare this and that, and then kind of come up with a plan. And I'm sure people are all over, like Deepak Chopra is very into AI, and he's all about mindset and mindfulness. And he has completely uploaded all of his books and all of his everything and his entire persona into AI, and is ready to pass on all of his information so that you can be able to use it. So AI, I think, is phenomenal and it has many uses. And I do agree with you that you have to have a human opinion and human interaction also.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you
Oh,
for sharing this. It's really like good addition to what I said. This is
awesome.
perfect. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. So you're launching a new group program, or you launched it in September and offer downloadable tools like your yoga nidra audio.
Yeah, I'm also yogi. I love yoga, and I feel like, especially if someone is dealing with stress, the yoga nidra or any kind of mindful activity is really helpful to release that stress, and it can be like maybe first tool, like quick fix for the situation can be in a toolbox of stress management. So if someone is liking this direction, like feel free to go to my web pages and download this recording. You can have it always with you and get that nervous balance. And also, I wrote really comprehensive book and guide. I have one guide that is for free, where it's describing how the mood, food are connected, and
Huh?
also a workbook where you can self-explore in your own tempo, in your own time. Ask yourself maybe different set of questions, and could be really good addition to your knowledge. So it is not only from coaching perspective, but also from nutrition perspective, how you can support yourselves. I believe it's amazing load of information, um, and hopefully also questions that will help you to apply this information to your everyday life.
Awesome. Awesome. And if listeners feel inspired today, what's the very next step you want them to take to connect with your work?
I would love them to connect with themselves first and ask themselves how they feel. And if they feel inspired by anything, of course, feel free to contact me. I love to get to know you. I love to get to know your story. And also, it's a good idea to share your story, because you never know who is inspired by that, who get hope from that. And everything that we experience, good or bad, is for some reason. I believe that can serve as a learning lesson for others who don't have to make the same mistakes, or don't have to go through same things, or can go through same things with better quality solutions. So I would say, when we start to notice that we have safe space to share the stories that we have, the emotions that we feel, a lot of is healing already. So I would love to inspire people to create more safe space in this world. That would be maybe the message that I would love people to know. Safe space at work, safe space at home, safe space inside of themselves.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. This has been a powerful hour of learning from you, Michaela. I am so honored to have you on the podcast. Please do schedule again. We want to hear more about how the new Yoga Nidra, am I saying this correctly? Yoga Nidra, is it Nidra? Am I saying Nidra? Nidra?
Yeah, Nidra. Yeah, perfect.
Yoga Nidra. So that means basically, what does Yoga Nidra mean?
So it's basically yogi sleep. It is guided meditation to connect with your body. That's why I connected with emotional eating, because oftentimes we feel disconnected from our body and from our emotions. That's why we escape to the food to get that connection. But we can connect with our body just with this tool that helps you to scan your body and also find more relaxed, more soothing feeling in yourself, more awareness. And this is exactly what my clients told me. I also teach yoga and I have different clients, also amazing group of 77 plus people who visit
One
yoga, which is like so inspiring and so amazing to see them. And
abundant number 77.
it's wonderful. They are so amazing and we have so much fun. And they told me that with time, they notice exactly much more earlier the level of stress that they feel. So they are much more in tune with the body. So they can stop the progression of the stress levels. So for example, she told me before these classes, I was going through half a day and I didn't know that I have headache. I was just realizing after whole half a day
Hmm.
that something is wrong with my body. And
Wow.
then like more we do this practice, more we do the scan of the body, then she start to practice it in her everyday life, not only on a yoga mat, and she bring this practice to her daily life. And then she start to feel, okay, now I have to pause, now I have to take just glass of water, and I have to take fresh air just for 1 minute because I know already is symptom in my body that is telling me something and I have to react. Otherwise, it will go until the headache, until the migraine, and so on. So I feel like this could be like really great tool to connect with the body and start to be more aware with what is happening, like slightest signals that we are basically ignoring when we are on fight or flight. We have to fulfill, like do the task, have a lot of calls, and so on and so forth.
This has been phenomenal. And in the show notes, you can find all of the information about Michaela and how you can find her and connect with her and hire her as your next coach because she is phenomenal. I myself am going to go and check out your website and see because your entire just being and your thought process is about how I think. So I'm all about mindfulness. I'm all about checking your body and I think emotional eating I believe I may have conquered it. I know I've been learning about fasting and learning about how, like for instance, I did have a breakfast sandwich, but again, it's mid-morning. I don't eat
Mm.
anywhere near as much food as I did in my earlier years, and I still have some more work to do. But eating before 6 is my goal and no more eating after 6. And just watching so many people, I've learned you have to get your eating done within, this span of time. Usually late morning for my body, this works late morning to 6. And then I don't really need any food. And most of that time, the salad, I still, protein. I've got, I can't do all vegetables. I can't do no carbs. I've tried it. I will
Mm.
crash.
Yeah,
I have tried it.
absolutely.
It's like my brain starts to go, so,
It's really, really not a good idea to go without carbs.
and
Maybe short term you might feel elevated in the short term moment. You might feel relief when you see the weight is going down, but unless you
the
check it
rate my brain fog goes up.
exactly, exactly.
I go like,
It's
because I have, being in my business takes a lot of brain power.
exactly, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time,
Thank
and we will
you.
connect again. Audience, check the show notes on Michaela's website. All the free downloads, all of that will be in there. All right. So
Thank you so much. I would love to just share a little bit more of like how grateful I am for your work that you are doing, because exactly I know how busy you are and a lot of activities that you do. So I really appreciate it this way how you support not only like entrepreneurs and women, but also like really you affect like real life of people by this. So I would like to thank you for that. And it's my honor to be here with you. And hopefully people can make some aha moments only for what we were talking about. So thank you for that.
thank you. All right, Michaela.